Dumaguete.
Hello, Negros Oriental.
Hello, Sillimanians around the world.
This is Joshua Soldivillo.
And this is Ronelyn Vailoces.
You're watching
Silliman. For Silliman updates, in preparation for the limited face-to-face classes that will start on May 11, 2022, Silliman University faculty members attended an in-person and virtual seminar at the Dr. Mariano Lau ICI Laboratory last April 6, 2022. The Office of Silliman Online University Learning, or SOL, led by Dr. Dave Marshall, organized the seminar on limited face-to-face instruction and conducted it in high-flex or hybrid flexible modality.
The Office of Silliman Online University Learning, or SOL, is calling for participants for the Dr. Mariano Lau Lecture Series 2022 on misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. Topics about misinformation versus disinformation was discussed by Ms. Melita Aguilar last April 2. Fact-checking in social media by Joan Serrano last April 9. Deep fake technology and its impact on the society will be discussed by Dr. Mariano on April 23, and Sociology of Information will be discussed by Dr. Enrique Oracion on April 30, 2022. For more information, you may visit Dr. Mariano Lau's Innovation, Creation, and Invention Laboratory Facebook page, and you may register now for free.
This week is a midterms week for the college students. Good luck with your midterm exams and requirements. Hang on for a little while because next week you will enjoy your screen break. Meanwhile, the American Corner Dumaguete Silliman will be participating with American Spaces Philippines in a virtual MOOC camp on COVID vaccine ambassadors training How to Talk to Parents from Johns Hopkins University, offered through Coursera. That will be on April 20 to 22, 2022. This boot camp will help participants share knowledge about COVID-19 and the COVID-19 vaccines, engage in conversations about vaccine hesitancy in a respectful and empathetic way, and direct people to credible sources for further information about COVID-19 vaccines to effectively counter misinformation. That would be all. See you next week for another #Silliman Updates. Good evening, everyone. This is a magazine program that talks about different aspects of Silliman University.
A program initiated to discuss matters concerning the campus by the sea. Welcome to
#Silliman.
Hello, Sillimanians and friends of Silliman around the world. Thank you for joining us tonight. The pandemic has surely affected our lives in different ways. For parents, it may have been challenging balancing work-from-home setup at the same time supervising their children, being a parent. And for our students, it may have been so difficult given that the pandemic has marinated all of us in isolation. So how did Silliman University respond to our financial needs, especially for our students, and how did the university address the wellness of our students in terms of mental health? Joining us tonight are two captains from the Office of Student Services. Allow me to begin with the head of the Student Scholarship and A Division, Assistant Professor Rodora Sagun. Ate Doors, good evening and welcome to the show.
Good evening and thank you for having me tonight.
We also have with us the head of the Guidance and Testing Division. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Dr. Jaruvic Rafols. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Ronnie and Joshua. Thank you for inviting us here.
All right, so I'm actually very happy, Ron. Ate Doors and Kuya Jarbs, as I call them. Is it okay to call you Ate and Kuya in the show tonight? It's been 2 years that we...
Yeah.
I think the last time we actually had a conversation was that during your I think, preparation as you transition to the online setup. So how are you? What keeps you busy these days, Ate Doors and Kuya Jarbs?
Actually, it's the same routine in the office. It's just that it has shifted to online. So most of communication with the scholars are done through emails, messengers, and phone calls. But it is actually the same, more or less.
Yeah. On our end, it's actually the same. We engage online. All our counselors are quite active on my soul because that's where our students are. And also, we engage in activities where we use telecounseling or even e-counseling. That's where the counselors are more focused right now, not now that we have the ODL engagement.
Since we have here with us Ate Doris and Kuya Rafols, okay, makaka-ate at kuya na rin ako dyan.
Yes, Ate Ron.
That's how we are addressed.
So I'd like to ask Ate Doris, how many scholars do we have here in the university as of this time?
For the first semester, we have around, give or take, 2,800.
2,800.
But that's including already the academic,
The academic
honor.
scholars.
The academic honor scholars.
Right. So, given the 2,800 scholars, Ate Doris, how did you do your screening this year? Because I believe I could clearly remember my experience that I have to go to the different offices where our members of the scholarship committee are actually from, no?
Yes.
So, how are you doing it this time, last year and this school year?
Last school year, actually, because we shifted to ODL, so we also decided to do a video call. And for those now, like video, do the telephone calls. But it was really very difficult. When we tried it on the first day, the whole morning we were only able to interview 2 students.
Wow.
And I think it's because of the connection, now both from our end and from the students' end. So the committee decided on the second day that instead of having the video call or video conference, what you call that, we asked the applicants to send us a 3-minute video answering prepared standard questions. So it was actually, Ate Eileen would call them, and after Ate Eileen end the call, we start the time. They have to submit the video within an hour, or we won't accept. I mean, just for precautionary.
I think that's very fair enough.
Yes.
No? And I'd like to give a special shout out to Ate Eileen. Hi, Ate Eileen. I know all of our scholars are also missing Ate Eileen in person. Right. So, how about for the guidance and counseling, Kuya Jarves? How do we do it now? You mentioned earlier that we have the MySoul platform. So, what exactly are the activities in there for our students?
Well, when we shifted to ODL, we made it a point as a team, the guidance counselors, we have to look for ways that we can reach out or be more relevant to the students, such as coordinating with MIS on how we can make our programs more visible. So if you look at the Soul, once they open their classroom, on top, one of the icons there is guidance and counseling request, where they just click it there if they feel like they want to reach out to their guidance counselors, or can be adjustment issue, can be pandemic issue, can be academic or personal. They can just do the counseling request, and then from there, our office, the center, facilitates the request, and then we coordinate it with the guidance counselors. So that's one, and then we also have the window. Specifically for all students. So all students enrolled, they have the GTD, Guidance and Testing Division. So if they open the window, it will actually lead them to their specific colleges or units, early childhood to the graduate program. So there's an assigned guidance counselor for each one, and then when they open their particular unit, they will be guided with a lot of information, psychoeducational information for their own need. For example, I am assigned for the graduate programs. So as a guidance counselor for the graduate school, so if they click that particular unit, then I have some psychoeducational information resources there, such as how to deal with online anxiety, those who are doing their dissertation and thesis writing. So we're giving them tips on how to cope and how to manage.
The graduate programs, Kuya Jarves, does this include our College of Law and School of Medicine?
That's different. There is also a guidance counselor assigned for the College of Law and also for the College of Medicine. So there's specific programs for every unit.
Right.
Listening to Kuya Rafols, I realized that we have a lot of students here in the university, and I am really concerned on how the guidance and testing division actually respond to all the students. I'd like to ask, how many guidance counselors do we have here, Kuya Rafols, in the university?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Actually, we are about 10 registered guidance counselors, and we have 2 career advocates. Well, if we include the Dean of the Student Services, which is she's also a registered guidance counselor. So all in all, we are 11 registered guidance
11.
counselors.
What's the
in the
difference, Kuya
university.
Rafols, when you say a career advocate and a guidance counselor?
Okay, when you say a registered guidance counselor, these are licensed guidance counselor who can practice counseling.
Okay.
For a career advocate, these are those who are in their MA guidance and counseling program, but
I see.
either they're done with it or
On
they
the
are
way.
still pursuing,
Okay.
and they have to take the board exam for them to become a registered guidance counselor.
Right. So I'd like to go back to our scholarship. Now we have 2,800. And of course, as a scholar in university, it's really expected, no, that they are intellectually competent, right? But aside from the intellect at the doors, what other qualifications does your office look in our applicants?
Of course, we have to consider the need. That's actually one. Most of the scholarships, it should be for financially challenged students. Then during the interview, we have to look into the potential and the promise of the student. And just like any other student, we want them to be, they shouldn't be involved, no, in any activities or any disciplinary.
Right.
That's all.
Yeah. So you've mentioned that we have 2,800, and you said that most of them are from the academic scholarships.
Yes.
So what other scholarships do we have in the university?
We have several because we have the externally funded. No? The academic honor is also included in the internally funded, meaning the budget comes, the funding comes from the university budget.
Okay.
But we have several externally funded, and we also have corporate. We have coming from alumni. So in a given year, we have around 75 scholarships
Wow.
that are being awarded.
Right. And I believe all of these scholarships are available on our university website. No, that's su.edu.ph.
Going back to Kuya Rafols, let me ask about the activities and programs that the guidance and testing department spearheaded for this years for our faculty and students.
All right. At the start of the school year, we made it a point that we emphasize on mental health. So we have the mental health caravan for all colleges. And this is actually in partnership with one of our student org, which is the Mind Matters movement, under our guidance. So we come up with a mental health caravan. We invited someone from Manila to be our resource person and participated by us counselors and also the Mind Matters movement, so that we can spread information on how they handle their well-being in this time of pandemic. And that's intended for all students. And we also have this, by the way, the e-guidance forum or the e-talk that we do. Even last year, we partner with the library. Now that we also have, we actually do it our own now, guidance and testing division. And we just had it last week. The topic is about drug prevention, substance abuse education and prevention. And this is, the resource person is the guidance counselor of the College of Nursing and the College of Business Administration. And then we will have another one for next week, after the Holy Week, where we request the guidance counselor of the junior high to give an insight on understanding the behavior of the adolescents. So that's the e-guidance forum we scheduled for next week.
All right, so perhaps some of our viewers, Kuya Rafols, are interested to participate. Perhaps we can invite them.
Yeah, sure. All students, if you're interested, you can actually go to your guidance counselor, request for the link, and we also provide the link on My Soul. For the junior high, I think it's well disseminated. You will get the link through your guidance counselor. And for the other units or other students, those who are interested, they can actually visit our GTD Guidance and Testing Division window, and the link is provided there.
All right, so at the doors, they have their e-talks. So how about for the scholars? I believe in the pre-pandemic times, you had these assemblies. So do you still conduct these assemblies with our scholars?
No, not during the ODL, because it's so difficult, and besides, we don't have the work runs is actually suspended this year, and usually in assembly, it's the student assistants who actually attended it. So, no, we don't have the assembly this year, but we still do have the orientation
For the scholars.
for the scholars. Yes.
Okay.
Going back to Kuya Raffles, we talked about a while ago we talked about mental health. Now, based on your experience, Kuya, this is a bit sensitive and, of course, serious question. What are the most common mental health issues that our faculty and staff or students are dealing now? Like when they reach to you, what are the common mental health problems?
Yeah, so when we transition to ODL, common issues are raised to us if they avail of the counseling, e-counseling, are of course personal, some are academic,
Right.
some are behavioral, but of course there are a lot of cases where they are challenged with their mental health in terms of quarantine situation. That's quite common. And we have to deal with that. And some clinical issues where we have to do some referrals to experts in the community. And that's what we encountered in the pandemic situation right now.
By any chance, Kuya Jarves, did you really see in your statistics, did you really see a surge or let's say a rise in terms of referrals, in terms of telecounseling, like somewhere or sometime 2019, 2020? Did you see a significant rise in your numbers?
Actually, I should say yes, because during the face-to-face, sometimes students just do the walk-in or referrals to by the teachers. But now, since they are engaging online and our visibility is quite visible when they open their soul, we see the rise of students availing of this counseling, especially on the counseling part. They request for counseling. Sometimes they just want to talk to someone, and we welcome that. And we're quite happy that students are pretty much aware of this service. They're not already having that hesitation that, talking to a guidance counselor might be something to do with discipline. So we don't have that in the university, and I'm quite happy because some schools, they're still challenged with that concept that students perceive guidance office as disciplinarian.
Yeah. Is this the same with the word stigma? At the
Yeah,
doors?
stigma. Yeah,
The
yeah.
stigma, no?
So we have changed that mentality, and now counselors are more, the engagement between counselors and students are quite progressive, and I mean, in terms of visibility of counselor per unit, they know their guidance counselors, and when they want to talk to someone in terms of their emotions, psycho-emotional issues, psychosocial, then they can right away talk to their guidance counselors. And I think, Josh, you are a graduate student, and you have availed of this
Yes.
service at some point.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
I think it's really a big help, no?
Yeah.
And especially in the pandemic, we were really in isolation. Social interaction was really absent. So how about in the case of our scholars at the doors? Did you also have this sort of session, especially those who are struggling to maintain their
Their grades.
requirements? No, but before you answer that, we're going to pause for a short break. All right, welcome back to Silliman. Still with us, our Assistant Professor Rodora Sagun and Assistant Professor Jaruvic Rafols. So before we pause for a break at the doors, I ask you about how do you cater also to the concerns of our scholars, especially those who are struggling to maintain their scholarship, given certain circumstances beyond their control.
Okay, when we started the ODL, the office actually made a survey to our scholars to find out what are their concerns, and the office tried to address it. But if it is really beyond what we can do, I make referrals to the guidance counselors. That's actually what we do. But we start by addressing it. And we may also make sure that every semester, every now and then, I also send emails to all scholars just to say, how are you? And if you have concerns, to actually reach out to me or to Ate Eileen.
Yeah, because I think that's very a healthy follow-up scheme, because not all of the scholars or not all of the students are actually willing to open up. So at least there's this initiative of the office to say hi and get to know their condition.
Yeah, and sometimes I actually browse through the Facebook postings, and if I think there's a concern in what they are actually posting, I personally reach to them so we could actually exchange communication. I call them and so on. So I'll be able to help them. Kung minsan, they just post it there. So how come she's posting this every time? So it makes you wonder. So what I do is I call them.
Wow, that's so special. I mean, I would really feel special if I will be, personally messaged by the Office of Student Scholarship.
And sometimes they themselves will actually message you or call us. Yes.
Feedbacking is really important, and communication is made possible by the advancement of technology, although we are now in the online distance learning setup. Yes. Now, going back to Kuya Rafols, I've been meaning to ask, is a guidance and testing division in charge of students with special needs?
When you talk about special needs, these are special populations?
Yes.
Of course, we that's under the guidance and testing. We have programs intended for special population. So that is customized, by the way, by different colleges, because the guidance counselor is assigned for each unit, and she has a say to come up with her program. So she comes up with an action plan for the year, and special population is in part of the programming.
So what are the programs and activities do we have in store for this population, sir?
For example, like in general, because we also have unified program, we have programs for the LGBTQ students. So, and that's included in the PEP program, by the way. That's part of the module to bring awareness, gender appreciation to the community, and how do we support the LGBTQ plus community in the campus. So we have that. That's already a special program. And on top of that, we also have, like in the case of scholarship, the guidance counselor is actually in partnership with the scholarship division for the scholars. So it's the role of the guidance counselor to, especially in the pandemic time, we have the psycho-emotional support. So we do follow up even the scholars, and Ate Rodora will just coordinate to us if there are scholars that needs to be followed up.
Right. I think this is a very comprehensive initiative when it comes to assistance. But aside from the psychological, mental, and emotional, Ate Dors, the pandemic also has taken a toll to our financial aspects, may it be the parents, to students. So what are the grants or the financial aids? Did you try to provide internet connectivity to our students? And recently, we were just hit by Typhoon Odette. What were also the grants and initiatives that your office did for our students?
Okay, let's start with the pandemic. At the onset of the pandemic, Silliman partnered with Smart Communications, and we provide pocket Wi-Fis to scholars, those we think who needs it. But of course, that's not enough. So they also need the mobile load.
The load.
So we also initiated or created a Dream Keeper program. So we write to some friends and alumni and some donors who are willing, to actually support this program. So we actually give our scholars with a monthly allowance of 999 or a mobile load equivalent to 1,000. So this is actually for the use of their ODL, not strictly for ODL, really pang Facebook.
Mobile Legends.
Yeah. So we had that. Then we also have donors, like we have the Mariano Lau SOS Fund.
Okay.
So it was actually intended originally it wasn't intended for the pandemic. But Dr. Mariano actually said we can use it for those students who need financial assistance.
Wow.
So normally those students that we know, they have been sick of COVID and so on.
Right.
They could actually request for a financial assistance through the SOS Fund. Then during the typhoon, and also, this pandemic just the same, we also have the Mariano Lau Educational and Emergency Support Fund. This is actually a loan fund, but this is non-interest, no collaterals, and it is actually for 15,000.
Wow.
In extreme cases, we could actually go until as much as 30,000.
30,000.
So we have that, no? So even faculty, no? Could
So
it's students,
Yes.
faculty, and retired personnel. But of course, there are conditions. They should meet the conditions.
So Ate Doors, am I qualified to the 30,000 loan?
we have to see. We have to
Okay,
see.
I would visit
We
your
have to
office
apply.
sometime.
We'll check.
Shout out to Dr. Mariano Lau.
Yes. And we also have donors. We have donors who actually have this one-time grant. This is actually at the onset of the typhoon na. Those who were affected and those who are graduating, these are the priority for this donor. But it's a one-time grant. These are for graduating students who were affected by the current the typhoon, the recent typhoon. Then we also have, I think we're all familiar with the Rolando Villanueva del Carmen Scholarship,
Yes.
no? And we have the honor hall. So because these scholars are not housed in the dorm, we actually use the budget to provide these scholars with their online, mobile data allowance.
And if I may add, no, like the Del Carmen Hall is so very conducive to stay.
Supposedly.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so the budget has been realigned for
Yeah.
the data and the internet.
But still, we still have some left. So we had this Rvdc Bridging Scholarship. So these are for those students who really need help, not support financially, but of course, those students with a high term QPA. So these are for them. Then, very recent, just this second semester, we also have the Rvdc Need-Based Grant.
Oh, that's interesting.
Okay.
Need-based. So
Need-based.
it means, what does it mean, Ate Doors?
It means the grade cutoff is lower.
Okay.
And they really have to show proof that they really need financial assistance. Again, this is a one-time grant just for the second semester.
Is this open for the basic education or for
No,
college?
it's for college.
Okay.
So priority are given to, again, graduating seniors and those who were hit by the typhoon. So we have that.
So guys, visit na the office or the website of Silliman University and contact Ate Doors for you to avail all this assistance. No?
So there are a lot of help available here in Silliman, and you just have to contact the right people. No? And going back to Kuya Rafols, you mentioned how the guidance and testing division actually extend the hand to help the faculty, staff, and students, and the rest of the Silliman community. Now, I'd like to ask, who takes care of our guidance counselor?
That's a very good question. Actually, as guidance counselors, we need to also,
Yes.
have to practice self-care.
Yes.
And as guidance counselors, we always make it a point that we have our own kamustahan online. So we
important.
have that, checking how we are as guidance counselors. So we do have that regularly. And hopefully, when we have the chance to do the face-to-face engagement, then perhaps we can have more wellness activity among counselors. So we can be ready for the new challenges when we come back to face-to-face. And of course, we need to also capacitate ourselves. That's why the guidance counselors always have this online engagement by attending webinars
Yeah.
online. So we made it a point that we are visible in the national scene and even in the global picture if there are opportunities for us to attend capability building. And one of these are, when you talk about international capability, sponsored by UBCHEA on topics on mental health in schools. All counselors are quite active attending the series of these webinars. And then in the national level, we are quite active with the Philippine Guidance and Counseling Association, which happen to be the president here in the local chapter, Negros Oriental and Siquijor. Yeah.
Right. So I think these debriefings that you do during your kamusan are very helpful. So Ate Doors, how many hours do you stay in front of your computer in a day, in a normal office day?
Before the pandemic,
This pandemic, like
This
do you begin
pandemic?
8 to 5?
I spend most of my time in the computer. So if I'm away from the office or at home, I use my cell phone.
How about you,
But
Ron?
I'm always checking.
Okay.
Morning till evening?
Yes. So, but I have time to rest. I need to, watch and water my plants so that I
Wow.
can have a refreshed eyes
bec-
and mind.
Yeah, I can relate because like early in the morning, I check the social media, emails,
Yeah.
and then you have to reply, and then the MySoul. So, Kuya Jarvis, what are the tips that you can provide to our students? Because it seems that we are soaked nowadays in our online engagements. What are the tips and how do we detoxify or let's say detach from the digital space from
Yeah.
time to time?
That's a very good question. Actually, we all need to self-regulate, all of us, especially in this time of pandemic. And there are mental health practices that are actually free. You don't need to enroll yourself or probably seek professional to know these tips. Some practical tips are, like you mentioned, you water your plants. That's
Yeah.
one, yeah.
Plantita.
Then you can practice mindfulness technique. Like every morning, you have like a few minutes of your time to meditate, like breathing exercises. That's very important to calm our nerves. And you can also practice progressive muscle relaxation technique. So it sounds technical, but actually you just have to tense a particular muscle. Like for
Okay.
example, you squeeze your
Alright.
hands,
Squeeze.
squeeze tightly, and
Okay.
then you release slowly, so you feel that there is this
We call this muscle.
progressive muscle relaxation.
Progressive muscle. So intensify.
Intensify it, and then you release
Slowly
it slowly.
release.
Then you can
Okay.
feel that there is this energy coming out. Maybe
Yeah.
that's a
Okay.
bad energy, so you have to release it. Or you stretch your back
Okay.
forward.
Yeah, I need this.
Yeah, stretch it, and then you can feel the tension, right?
Right.
And then be careful that you have to release it slowly so that we don't get injured. Okay? So you release it slowly, and then you feel relaxed. Because sometimes the tension are actually focusing on your neck or your shoulder. So most of the time we are engaging
Yeah, online.
on our laptop or on our computer. So you just have to do these practices like your legs, point a toe, stretch it, and then you release. So even if you're seated, you can actually practice this self-regulation management. So that's one. Of course, the breathing exercises. And then always find time to appreciate your surroundings. Go out.
Yes.
Because, we are in a quarantine. Hopefully, we will not go back to that very strict quarantine
Right.
scenario.
Hopefully.
But at least now we can move around. You go out, you walk with your dog perhaps, or like 30 minutes of your time won't be, actually, that's already good enough to appreciate the beauty in your surroundings. Like, be exposed to sunlight. So
Yeah.
that's where you get good energies also. And a lot of practices you can. That's why for the students viewing right now, you can contact your guidance counselor.
Yeah.
So that your guidance counselor can give you mindfulness techniques, stress management techniques, and also self-regulation management. So that's
Alright.
part
Thank
of
you so
what we
much,
teach.
Kuya Rafols. How about Ate Doors for our scholars for the call for applications next school year? Do we already have important dates to remember? What are the lines to call? How do our students contact you?
There's no specifics na on the dates yet, but tentatively we are looking into the first or second week of August.
Okay,
First or second week of June.
June.
And the scholarship application will actually run for a month. No? And I would just like to say, for those who have this idea that awarding of scholarship is on a first-come, first-served basis, it isn't. No? That's precisely why it will run for
1 month.
1 month. No? So to give time to the others, especially those schools that would actually close later than the others. So, walay paunahay.
How about your contact numbers, Ate Doors?
Yes, you can email us at sac@su.edu.ph, or you can call the office for 422-6002. Local is 328.
Okay.
Those are the magic numbers to remember.
So we are now, let's have fun. Because
We need to relax.
we need to release negative energy.
Release the tension.
So we prepared a gimmick for Ate Doors and Kuya Rafols, but we won't dance, TikTok videos. Just a quick 5-second rule gimmick. Like we will mention a topic and then you will give us what we are asking for. Like for example, 3 pet peeves, something like that.
Yeah, but you have 5 seconds only to give. All right. So we'll begin first with Ate Dora. Are you ready, Ate Doors? Okay. Ate Doors, what are the 3 things that you don't like?
That I
5,
don't like.
4, 3.
So
Pressure,
many to
Josh.
say.
Many to say.
So many.
Okay, Kuya Rafols, name 4 things you love most about Silliman. 4 things.
4 things, of course, the people.
Yeah.
Yes.
Our physical plant or our environment here in Silliman.
Yeah.
And
2.
my co-workers.
Of course.
And the last would be the Silliman spirit.
Yes.
That, it's hard to define, but it's
Sige.
within.
A little bit faster, Ate Doors and Kuya Jarvis, ha? Parang 10 seconds na yun eh. Alright, Ate Doors, 3 names you wouldn't forget.
Of course, my dean. Campus Silliman. Mr. Professor Montolis, and DP Fadelo.
Okay.
Okay. Kuya Rafols, name 3 favorite people from the university. Tatlo lang.
I have a lot of favorite, but of course, Dr. Betsy Joy Tan. One.
Sure.
Dr. Edna Kalingasyon, our dean, of course. And then, Dr. Magtolis.
Okay.
Ate Doors.
Professor Magtolis.
Ate Doors, first 3 things you do in the morning.
Of course, when I wake up, I pray
5,
Yeah.
and
4,
go to the bathroom
3.
and breakfast.
Okay.
Kuya Rafols, 3 things you do before you sleep.
3
5.
things I do before I sleep.
4.
I'll try to read an article. 2, I open my, to relax my mind, TikTok. And
At
then,
the end of the day.
last would be, listen to music.
Listen to
Oh,
music.
yes.
Ate Doors, what are the 3 things we can do to take care of our mental health?
If you have concerns, you talk it out with other people. I also try to divert myself from the job.
Okay.
So this means other interests.
Right?
And what else do I do? Go out.
Go out. Eat out.
Eat out, yeah.
Kuya Rafols, name 3 characteristics of a good leader since the Halalan 2022 is fast approaching.
Good governance, collective, and kind heart.
Kind-hearted.
Ate Doors, what are the 3 things that are needed to maintain a partnership?
Trust, of course. Cooperation. And I think liking each other's. Love to like.
Since we are talking about partnership, this will be the last 5-second rule. Kuya Rafols, what are the 3 things you look for in an ideal partner?
Ideal partner, open-minded,
Open-minded,
supportive, and trustworthy.
Trustworthy. Okay.
All right, thank you so much,
Thank
Ate
you so much.
Doors
Yeah.
and Kuya Jaruvic for gracing our show for tonight's episode. I hope we were able to guide our students with available scholarships and services of our Guidance and Testing Division, as well as the Scholarship and Aid Division. And we have now come to the last segment of the show. It's called #WTP Words to Ponder. So Ron, what's your word to ponder for this episode?
You know, Josh, listening to our inspiring guest for tonight.
Very hardworking, I should say.
Yeah. My attention was actually caught when Ate Doris mentioned dream keeper. You know, and I like to ponder on that word, because when we say dream, it seems that it is an individual effort. But no, we should always remember that when we become successful, it's not just our individual effort that is put into it. There's a lot of obstacles that we can pass through. It is because of the help of people. So I'd like to say that dream keepers are not each one of us, but all of us. We are all dream keepers of someone else, something like that. So
I
how
like
about
that.
you? How about you, Josh?
I think this is like a reflection and a realization from the sharings of Dr. Rafols and Ma'am Sagun about our experiences during the pandemic, the typhoon, and all of the things that it's a mixed emotion, the transition. And I think we just need really to be patient
Patience.
with all of this. No? So patience is a virtue. And indeed, no, it's truly a virtue, and it seems that we are so excited. We can't wait to finally go back to the normalcy. But I think patience is not about how long we should all wait, but it is also about our attitude while waiting. So let's be patient, and let's prayerfully be patient, diba? Importante yung prayers.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that's all for this episode. Thank you to our guests, and thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for making #Silliman as your Monday habit. To God be the glory. Hey there, Sillimanians! Daghang salamat for joining another episode of #Silliman. Please, don't forget to follow our social media accounts. On Facebook, it's called #Silliman. And we also have a YouTube account. It's called #Silliman. Don't forget to click the notification bell to be updated for our updates and posts.
And catch us at Field Products every Monday at 8 p.m. And replays will be shown every Tuesday before the noontime news and every Saturday after the noontime news. This has been Ronelyn Vailoces
And Joshua Soldivillo. See you next week only here on
#Silliman.
Bye!